Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well today. I have a bit of a confession to make regarding the two channels, and that's that I don't actually tend to read the comments in detail. I normally scan read the comments shortly after I upload a video and then leave it. And that's nothing personal. It's not because I don't want to read your comments. It's just a practice that I've gotten into after being advised by some people who've been in the space a bit longer than me, that it's just not worth it. Not because there aren't wonderful people commenting, or even, valid criticisms. It's because there's always a subsection that really have it in for you. And it just becomes a needless thing. If you try and engage with them, they really enjoy the fight. And I try and focus my time more on people who are actually investing in me in the Substack and so on, connect with those guys quite regularly, and the people that are doing the coaching work with me and so on. So it's really nothing personal. It's just one of these things in order to sort of protect yourself in some senses and just not engage in the toxic side of YouTube. But of course, I do have friends and my wife, they read their comments and they'll let me know every now and again the general gist of things if I've missed anything. I'm obviously quite busy as well, so I can't go through everything. And my wife told me that I'm one person called me a grifter on this channel. And I thought I'd respond to this. I don't want to get too personal about it and be too defensive because, look, at the end of the day, who am I? I'm some guy online. I mean, you should question who I am. You should, think about what I'm saying. Of course, that's a standard in life. Don't trust everything you hear online. So by all means, I don't want to be too defensive, of course. There's a rational side to that. But I was really heartened to see that a few of you had sort of come to my defense. This was in reference to me releasing the course I've recently released. And you said everything that I would have said. So thank you so much to the fellas who did speak up on my behalf. It's very, very kind of you. I noticed there's one fella there who knows me from my old channels, which is wonderful to see you here as well. And yeah, I mean, look, just as you said, I mean, I think there's this idea that goes around that a YouTuber, quote unquote, earns, millions of pounds. That's true if you're Mr. Beast, or I think he's called PewDiePie, these guys with tens of millions of subscribers and every video gets, millions of views and they earn millions of pounds a year. That's not the way for an average YouTuber like me. To be completely blunt, off the main channel, I estimate I'd earn about £10,000 a year in advertising revenue. Off this channel, struggle to make £1,000, But that's all right. I'm not doing it for that reason. So as you can see, I can't live on that. I really can't live on that. And I've got a kid, got a wife, all sorts of bills coming out my ears. We know what the cost of living is like. So the reason that, people like me do build out a business on the side of the YouTube is because it's something to actually create an income on, to create a life on. Now, of course, the aim here isn't just to be like, well, I've got this audience, let me just flog them stuff they don't need. I'd hope by now, if you've been watching the channel, that's not what really drives me. And again, I don't want to get, too woe is me. I know we all have our challenges. But, I haven't gained money by doing this. I've lost a significant amount of money by doing this, My work before was quite stable. And even the work I do outside of this was paying quite well. But of course, I've limited that right down so I can do this. And I have to have new income streams. With that could be coaching, that could be courses, that can be the Substack. And the aim is to build them so I can survive on them alone and create more content. And if that's not you and you'd rather just engage in the free content, then that's fine. But I'm not forcing you to buy any courses here. When you buy courses, I'm not saying to you, upsell this, upsell that. I try and be quite honest when I'm selling these things. I'm not driven by that sort of Tony Robbins school of pyramid selling. And I think it's important for me to say this, and of course it's up to you whether you believe me or not, but I do think there's something here about, the modern world. And I understand, there is this, especially in the spiritual world, it can get very dodgy and there are people just charging extortionate fees. I mean, I myself have spent well over 10 grand in my life on personal work, coaching work, courses. Some great, some mediocre, some not so good. So I understand there are people out there that are just making a quick buck. I mean, there's one very famous YouTuber I once purchased a course from. I was all up for it, and it was just his YouTube videos. That's all it was. Just reorganised. It was 4 YouTube videos, and I spent, it was $100, which is, I don't know, £70, something like that. So again, just for 4 YouTube videos I could view anyway. And I think the fella in question said, you could get this information from a book, so why pay? Well, I'd question whether you can get it from a book, but I'd certainly say you can get it from books. You could probably do that. But of course, the point of me selling a course is to expedite that process. A lot of this stuff that I'm saying in the courses and in the coaching, this has taken 10, 15 years to live, another 10 years to work out, sitting there, going through things, speaking with people, guiding my way, falling flat on my face. It's not like I woke up one day and thought, I'll just put all this together and try and rip someone off. The idea is, this is expediting the process for people. And if I'm really honest, there's an element as well of this, which is, I've seen this in my own life and others. When you invest in something, it actually makes you do it. So by all means, you could buy, I don't know, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis, watch a few Father Spy Ride-On videos, read into Julius Evola and Rene Guénon. But that process is going to, it would take me 6 months to a year, of understanding it, going through their arguments. What does it mean practically? What I'm trying to do is compile this down into a quick 30 days with practical actions you can take and walk away from. Now, will every single one of those actions blow your mind? Probably not. But I'd hope that people that do engage with these courses do find that, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things that think, oh, wow, do you know what? That really shifted my consciousness. And I think that, to me, and when I've done these things, is money well spent, personally. It changed my view on things. I think there's also something to be said as well for this idea that, people can just do all this for free and then work on the side. Unfortunately for me, that's just not a reality. I don't come from a rich family, don't come from a particularly poor one either, but I don't have money just laying around. So you have to make a living in this world. And there is a side of that which, it's a very difficult thing because it's always going to question your spiritual morals. But the question is then, well, do I just kind of do nothing, basically? Because I have a choice to make. I can either stick with the day job, or I can and just release the odd video, or I can try and move towards this and try and build a business which actually allows me to create more content for free, but also allows me to provide a living for myself and my family as well. And like I say, believe me, I'm not some guy that's like rolling in the cash like Scrooge McDuck. That's not that way at all. It's quite the opposite at the moment. Like I say, I've had to take a big hit to do this, not the other way around. But like I say, I think in some senses I can understand, people being uncertain, curious, and wanting to be sure that it's not all some huge scam. I must say, if people out there, well, there's always, look, it's the internet. There's always going to be people out there that think that and say that. But I'd like to think, and it's good to see that many people have found or have had dealings with me know that that's not the case. But I hope that you will know in the future content that's very much not my intention. The intention here is to try and really give people a path that they're not being given in modernity. If you don't want to invest in that, that's absolutely fine. But if you do, there are certain things that you can take and do and practice that will further your journey. And hopefully I can be part of that. Of course, I'm not the only person out there. There are many other people offering many other things that you can engage in. Personally speaking, I have found, with the right coaching the most impactful for the long term. Retreats are the most powerful, but I've also found after a month or two, they tend to fade in their power. And things like courses, these are more things that you can return back to, good discipline structures, devotional structures that can guide you forward. But by all means, if you feel you can do this by yourself, you don't need it, that's absolutely fine. And you just want to listen to the videos, no worries at all. So I just wanted to clear that up because, there's always going to be someone online who thinks you're a moron, and you do find that out quite quickly, especially with the main channel. You'll get quite a few spicy emails. Which I don't mind when it's me. It's when they go for your family. I think it goes a bit far. But apart from that, I just wanted to make this video to say thank you to those who'd made a fair point about what this really is about and how you do need to make a living in this day and age, and also about what my intentions are. So, as always, thank you very much for following. Dare I say the Substack is linked below. Might get some heat in the comments for that one. But do take care all, and we'll catch up again soon.